Right now, you're listening to the Azim Digital Asks podcast, the podcast where I, Azim, talk to some of the top marketers in the industry, find out everything about them, how they got to where they are today, and more importantly, sharing some really useful marketing tips that will help everybody listening to this become better marketers. Stay tuned for another great episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Azim Digital Asks podcast. Very excited to introduce my guest to you today, all the way from Boston. She is the digital marketing manager at KoMarketing. She's a speaker. Most importantly, she was recently listed as one of the top 50 most influential PPC experts for 2020. My guest today is the awesome Andrea Cruz. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing today? It's a pleasure to be here.
Not a problem. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little bit hungry because it's lunchtime here.
So before the episode, we were talking about time zones and issues that we were having and issues with each other's names. And I think for me, it's just after 5 o'clock here. So I'm very much on wind down mode, but you are like halfway through your day.
That's correct. And I think it's going to be interesting. I'm scared of even saying your name because I don't want to say it wrong. And I feel people always have that issue with mine. So it's pretty funny to be on the other side of the coin.
It's all good. You can say it how you want. Right. Let's get into it. So before we talk about yourself and marketing and everything else, I always ask a random question to my guests to start off. And your random question is, you're out and about, you have to sing karaoke. What song do you pick and why?
So picking the song is not an issue. What will never happen is anyone in the world besides my husband will ever hear me singing because nobody wants to do that. Uh, my song I think would be Mr. Brightside by the Killers. I really like them a lot. It's such like a powerful song in a way. But
Yeah,
yeah, nobody wants to hear me singing. It's not happening.
Okay, no worries. Once again, thanks very much for joining me today. Let's talk a little bit about you and when you first started. When did you realize that you were going to become a marketer and it was going to be the career for you?
So, fun fact, I've had many different jobs throughout my life. My first job, I work in internal audits, so accounting, nothing really similar to marketing. But in my third job, I work as a strategy consultant for organization and methods. In other words, I watch people do their jobs and write procedures on how to do them better or how to increase productivity. While I was in that job, most of it was done to the marketing department and how they could be better. And in that point, I was like, I really like all these people. These people are awesome, one. And two, I love what they do. It combines the two things I like, which is numbers with actually content and reading and comprehension and analysis. So at that point, marketing is starting to pick up my interest. But I didn't really work full time on marketing until I joined KoMarketing back in 2015. Yes, 2015. It was a long time ago.
Wow, so you've been with the company now for about 5 years.
Yeah, so my fifth work anniversary is next Tuesday. I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. Well, as this episode will be out after your anniversary, happy 5 year work anniversary.
Thank you.
So, thinking about all of your experience, if you could go back to the start of your career with all the knowledge that you have now, what advice do you think that you would give to yourself?
I think it would be the same advice I give to new employees, which is something about digital marketing is that it's always changing. Every day there's something new or something change. So never stop learning and never be afraid of going out there and ask questions to people in terms of what they are doing or what is actually going on out there in the market. Because if you can't answer that, you won't be able to successfully do your job.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really great advice, and that was something that will definitely resonate with the listeners here. So, thinking about your entire working career, then, what are some of the things that you've learned throughout your career that you can share with the listeners?
I think the most important thing that I see marketers struggling with, especially B2B marketers, which is the area I focus on, is trying to differentiate what makes B2C and B2B different. Because all the content that it's out there, not all of it, but a really big portion of the content out there is for B2C marketers. There's more volume, more companies. Um, so really being able to pick and choose your battles and understanding what's applicable to you. Never be scared of testing. Just keep a very close eye on things, and go from there.
Yeah, definitely. Great advice. So, thinking about that then and your inspiration, who would you say has been a big inspiration to you in the industry?
I would like to mention three people that I think have been pivotal in who am I as a marketer today.
Sure.
The first one was his name is Jeremy Kranz. He was my first PPC manager. Something that I always carry with me is he introduced me to PPC chat on Twitter, which I love and adore. And two, he was the person who implanted the seed in me on you should really go out there and read everything you can about marketing. And he would pop quiz me. It was really bizarre. But he will come to me and he will be like, did you see what happened yesterday on Google? And I would be like, even if I didn't understand what the update was, it was about having the knowledge that something happened. So I'm
Yeah,
truly appreciated that he did that for me, because I for sure wouldn't be the marketer I am without those two tips that have given me so much knowledge and power, and even confidence, of just going out there that I know a lot of the things that are happening in the industry. That
yeah.
allows me not only to be able to go back and explain why things might shift, but it also allows me to go forward and think where things might be going.
Brilliant. I'm sure he will be very happy to hear that. What
Yeah.
about the next two?
So the next one, it's a co-worker. Her name is Casey Gillette. Even though Casey and I, we don't work often together,
Yeah,
she has been pivotal when I started to say, hey, I would like to go out there and do a podcast or do a conference, or just going outside of my comfort zone and trying to expose myself out there. She has always been great at providing feedback, listening to my presentations, going through my decks, letting me know what was successful for her when she started, and compare that to, well, what can I learn from it? So she's been great at that, and I truly appreciate it. And she still works with me. So yeah. So Casey Gillette, person number
awesome.
two.
And
Um,
finally,
Last but not least, it's someone that I met originally through Twitter, and then I met him on conferences, and I call him my PPC chat friend. It's AJ Wilcox. The reason being, I I think AJ is the brightest and sweetest person out there. Something I really like about him is you never hear anyone complaining about AJ.
yeah,
He's always just so kind to everyone. He's always willing to share his insights. He will always listen to you. Um, when he gives presentations, same as Casey, they are terrific presenters. So I really appreciate how he remains so humble. And that's the type of person I would like to be. Someone that people can go to because you are gonna treat them nice and you are gonna be able to provide them with answers and insights. So I really admire AJ because of that.
great stuff. Three great people. Definitely three people that I would love to meet. I always see things online that they're up to and that they're doing and sharing, and they all seem like they're definitely full of knowledge. So I'm slightly jealous that you've got to experience that firsthand, but I'm sure post COVID and everything else, we'll get the chance. And equally, me and you, hopefully, we'll get the chance to meet up at a conference and just bump heads about PPC and everything else. Speaking about that and things about overcoming challenges, so you mentioned now you're at KoMarketing, right? And you've
Yes.
been there for about 5 years.
Yes, sir.
So, in your current role right now, what would you say the biggest challenges that you've got, and how are you overcoming
Challenges. Nobody likes to talk about that. But
it?
we all have them, right? I think part of my biggest challenges today as a manager is really being able to find a middle point between telling clients what they can actually achieve and what needs some work for things to happen. Or sometimes clients have unrealistic expectations. I've seen it. So it's really about coming back with them and trying to figure out that negotiation approach that will actually make them understand what's good, what's bad, what's the ugly, and what the next steps are. I still do a lot of implementation on my campaigns besides managing a team. So always finding that balance. It's an interesting trick that I have to work with every day. So yeah.
Great stuff. So tell me then, we talked about challenges, and there's an obvious big challenge that's affecting everybody globally called COVID. I think you might have heard of it, maybe. How has COVID affected you professionally and your business, and how have you responded to that?
Well, when COVID started happening in the United States in March, I think that's when we really felt that it hit home. Um, it was very scary. I think we were scared in many different perspectives. We were scared of um, our health, our family's health,
Yeah.
our jobs. So something co-marketing has done is really have weekly check-ins so everybody know what's going on. Um, and that has been very nice that we've had that level of insight. Um, Clients were very scared at the beginning, like everybody. I think if somebody says that that's not true, it's a lie.
Yeah.
So it was really about, well, how is this affecting us today? What are we seeing? What can we do differently? Um, I think B2B, not all of it, but a huge part of it, since sales cycles are so long, um, it wasn't felt as close as people working with airlines or hotels. Um, so after a few weeks of trying to figure it out, how is this affecting us? It was really about, okay, hold on. What was our goal for the year? How are we pacing? Can we still achieve those goals? Do we need to put more effort and time into certain tasks? And really tell clients, look, this is the plan and this is what we are doing. We have checkpoints every month to confirm how good or bad we're doing, and really come up with recommendations. Okay, this is what we need to continue to grow, or this is what we need to change to reverse any negative trend that we might have seen. um, but today it feels better. It doesn't feel like clients are scared anymore. They can see that there's a good grasp on what's happening and their goals, and taking it from there.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and it's a very open and honest way to put it. I do a lot of reading online, and I see that in some companies and places, people talk about COVID-19 as a strategy and a marketing strategy, and I read it and it just makes me shocked because I'm thinking this is like a global pandemic. People are losing their lives, and for you to try and compare it to marketing is just, it's not the appropriate way to put content out there. Certainly my opinion, at
Yeah.
least, anyway.
I haven't been on that situation, which I'm glad.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I don't know if personally I would feel comfortable with that. But it's work for certain people, so good if it worked for you, and sorry if you went into a direction that didn't work for you.
yeah, absolutely. So touching on the subject of reading and learning, how about yourself? How do you do that? How are you continuing to learn and gain knowledge to keep on top of what's everything going on with the industry?
Yeah, so my key number one source of information is the amazing people I've been able to find and follow through Twitter, just like you. You
Thank you.
guys are you guys are my daily inspiration. I use my Twitter solely for marketing. So it's so nice that it's people I trust or people I've met, as well as publications that I find useful and relevant for the digital marketing industry. And you guys are my daily source of information. Besides that, I always like to keep up with the latest um, trends published by the really big publications out there, from Search Engine Lang to Search Engine Journal to Search Engine Roundtable, Adweek, etc., etc. And then number three, I do podcasts. Reviews, Marketing O'Clock. I love them. They publish every Friday,
Yeah,
and they give you a summary of anything that you might have missed over the week. So that's my way of keeping in the know of everything that's going on. That's how I do it. I know that doesn't work for everyone, but it's really been helpful for me. And I've been doing it at this point for years.
definitely. I think there is a lot of similarity in the way that you do it to the way that I do it. What I used to do before was see articles and bookmark them for later on, but then never read them. So now I'm definitely very active on Twitter and listen to podcasts when I can, just to try and keep on top of everything that's happening in the industry. Great
Yeah.
stuff. Really interesting answer. I'm definitely going to seek out some of those accounts that I don't follow. I'm ashamed to say I don't follow all of those. I will definitely fix that.
Yeah, because I that's the thing I like about Twitter the most, which is it's so short. Because if I go to LinkedIn, people write this very long post,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's like I don't have time for this. I need a summary.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's why Twitter has been helpful for me. But for sure, throughout time, there's people that I thought was helpful at the beginning. They pivoted on their careers. So just make sure you're always checking on either new people or taking people out that they might not follow the same goals you are currently following in your career today.
That's great advice. Brilliant. I'm really enjoying this so far. Keep coming with these really useful insights. So we've been very positive so far. We've talked about everything that you've done, all the successes that you've had, and everything that you've done really well. Let's flip that coin on its head and let's talk about failure for a little bit. What would you say, thinking specifically back to the last 12 months, what has been the biggest failure for you and why do you think that it happened?
Not being confident on myself. Um, I
Hmm.
think at some point in my career, um, I didn't feel like I had all the answers, and I don't think anybody was expecting me to have all the answers.
Yeah.
So I try to stop being reliant on other people and actually doing the research for myself. Like, okay, here's the problem. There has to be a way I can figure this out on my own, or mostly on my own, besides just going to my I call them my table buddies, to my coworkers, because I for some reason I was not feeling confident enough with all the challenges that were coming across, and by really trying to understand the problems and trying to be creative about how to solve them, and at that point where you actually have an idea of how to solve it, I have found that going to my coworkers for additional insight, at that point is when I actually am able to have the best conversations I've ever had. Because sometimes, and it's hard, you go to someone with a specific question. How do I solve this page that it's not ranking? Or how do I improve the return on ad spend from this specific Google Ads campaign?
Yeah.
But if you have some insights into what things have changed, what have you done to try to fix them, what were the results of those tests? Is there anything new that maybe other people are doing and my client is not doing? Trying to have that information in advance has actually made me realize I have all the knowledge and all the power at my disposal to solve it. And it has given me a confidence boost, which I think was personally affecting me.
Brilliant. I mean, I can definitely see how much you've come on in terms of everything that you're sharing online. I look at your Twitter feed sometimes and I think, oh, well, you've picked up this new change on Google and I wouldn't have even noticed that. Or you've picked up a new article or things that you're sharing. I think, yeah, definitely. Your Twitter feed was great before. Now it's like even better. Definitely look out for when you tweet because I think you're always sharing really useful stuff. So don't stop doing that. That's brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking on that, then, let's talk about some of your current projects. Obviously, I appreciate you can't share like names of clients or things that you're working on, but as much as you can share, are you able to share things that you're working on right now?
The thing I like the most about my clients today is that most of them are software. So I'm
Yeah,
very into and companies out there are doing some really cool stuff in terms of experiences on websites. They are doing anywhere from free trials to progressive form experiences to I think people is really taking marketing automation to make their experiences better. And when you have a company that it's a software or companies that are clients that are software based companies, they really have a lot of power on the development side that you might not be using before. And I've been able that talking to them has actually allowed me to be better in my marketing, because I am not even close to a developer, but there's people on those companies that they do have the knowledge and the resources, and sometimes just coming with the ideas and say, hey, do you think you can give me 15 to 20 minutes to see if this is something you can help me in design, has actually allowed us to create some really cool experiences for customers that are going to our clients' websites.
nice, nice. Well, we'll look out for seeing some really cool case studies, hopefully, that you'll be able to share soon. Fingers
Hopefully,
crossed.
fingers crossed.
So sadly, we are nearly coming to the end of the podcast, which is a shame because really enjoyed this episode. Just before we wrap up, let's pretend you are Azim for a second. What question would you ask yourself that I've not asked you already?
Well, it's funny because I've never been asked this question before, and I don't really know how to tackle it. I would actually just say if you ever have questions about what I'm doing or anything I have said that doesn't align with what you are seeing, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll be happy to help you there, because I really think that something that makes the digital marketing industry wonderful is that we are all out there in the internet every day.
Yeah.
Um, so I love sharing ideas, contrasting points. Hey, I disagree with you. Here's why, and we can discuss it. I love to have those conversations, and I think the conversation that started that way are my best friends today in the PPC and SEO world.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, follow me on Twitter or send me a question. My DMs are open. So looking forward to hearing people's questions.
Right. Let's put you into a hypothetical situation. Imagine that
Oh,
you
gone.
are imagine you're at work and you need to be 100% productive and just block out everything around you. What are you listening to? Do you have a favorite song, artist, playlist, podcast? What's in your ears? What helps you get into the zone?
So I think it's pretty obvious that English is not my native language. I was born and raised in Venezuela, so I speak Spanish. That's my native tongue.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing analysis and I'm very stressed out, I would listen to something very soft, maybe like a piano music. Um, but if I am feeling very happy, I would listen to anything. I don't have a range. I would go from BTS, which is K-pop, to
Yeah.
salsa to a ballad in English. The only thing I can't do is if I am writing in English, the music has to be in English. If I'm
Ah,
writing
okay.
something in Spanish, it has to be in Spanish, because if not, my brain, it doesn't work. It stops working.
Ah,
So
nice.
whatever I'm doing has to be consistent with the language of what I'm listening. Because if not, I get like it doesn't work.
Awesome. Yeah, a while ago, I was having weekly Spanish lessons. We have got this amazing woman here called Yolanda at our workplace, and she was teaching us Spanish. And I was doing really well. And then I got to try to understand the difference between soy and estoy, and that's where I just got confused. And that's it. So there was like a 4 or 5 week break, and I just forgot everything now. So I just have to stick with English, unfortunately.
Well, I can give Yolanda a hand if you need one.
She had to go on holiday for a little bit, so the lesson stopped, and then I was using Duolingo, and I didn't do it every day, and I kind of just forgot about it, and I forgot everything that I learned. So if she's listening, don't hate me. I'm really sorry. Listen,
You're
this has been brilliant. Thank you very much for being a great guest. Where can people find out more about you? How can they get in touch with you? What are your best contact details or social networks to get you on?
Yep. You can definitely find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Andrea Cruz 92. And then you can follow me on LinkedIn as well. But I am definitely more active on my Twitter account when it's about marketing and insights. And if you're really looking to find me very quickly, I would definitely go to Twitter.
Yes, 100%. If you are listening and you are not following Andrea, I would strongly recommend that you pause the podcast right now and follow her immediately. Once again, thank you for being a great guest. I will leave the final word on this episode to you.
It was just a pleasure being here. I appreciate all your comments on social media as well. I think you are brilliant. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person and to meeting anyone who is interested or hearing your thoughts on social media, to anyone who is listening to this podcast.
So that was another great episode in the bag. I'm really enjoying hearing from some brilliant people in this industry. If you enjoyed this podcast, please follow me on Spotify. Please leave a rating on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you are using. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and hopefully see you for the next episode.